Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. So today we got a hell of a show for you guys, man, and it's coming out of ESPN. As you guys know, ESPN has some kind of like hit or miss shows, but it seems like the Inside the NBA show have finally gotten their groove on the network, right? So yesterday, they were previewing a few games. One of them was the game of Jason Tatum's return, and he came back looking pretty good. And I saw some of his highlights. He's looking pretty good. And Boston, well, we'll see. Boston certainly looks like one of the teams that has a possibility to go to the finals coming out of the East. Of course, you got some other teams there as well. But then the second game was between the Clippers and the San Antonio Spurs, right? So they're talking about that. They're talking about the Western Conference landscape and how things will play out. And they're talking about what it takes to be a successful team in the playoffs, right? And all of these things. Then it gets to this point where they begin to discuss how you have to perform in the playoffs in order to be successful and the role that other players need to play, because you're not always going to have a good game. Then Charles Barkley and Shaq start to get into it. Shaq is like, I always had a good game. And then Charles is like, no, you did. You don't have a play. And then things get pretty heated. But before we even get into this exchange here, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a daily fantasy app where you pick more or less on player stat projections. And if you get your pick right, you could cash in. Right now, they're giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. For example, this week I'm picking Victor Wembanyama for 35 points, and I'm also picking Stephen Curry to hit 4 threes. It's always very exciting and gets me all more amped watching the game. Make sure to check if PrizePicks is available in your state today. It probably is. They are available in 50 states. They also just dropped early payouts, so if your player gets off to a hot start, you can cash out before the game even finishes. Pick from all your favorite sports, anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. And with the new social feeds feature, you can share PrizePicks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. Download the PrizePicks apps today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks is good to be right. So what we want to do is play this exchange for you guys between Chuck and Shaq yesterday on ESPN. And I want to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to these guys here.
They play like OKC. Everybody knows their roles. They play together. This a very solid team, like I said last week. The system is back, and they defend. The system is back. I still think they need one more big name player. They don't have that now. Do I have confidence in Spurs? Yes, I do. They're playing very well.
You saw that graphic on the 37 blocks since the All-Star break. But that's more than 14 teams have since the All-Star break.
But the one issue, Victor has to play great, because he has to play like.
Who doesn't have to play great? That's a great player.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
But he can have a bad game.
Can Jaylen Brown have a bad game?
Yes, he can.
No, he can't.
Yes, he can.
Can he have a bad series?
No, not a bad series. He can have a couple bad games.
Okay, so
that's one of the reasons I told you. One of the reasons I love what Detroit's doing. But Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren have to play great every night.
What great player hasn't had to?
No, great players don't play great all the time. I know you think that. No, you didn't.
Yes,
no,
I
you did not.
Chuck,
no, you
Google
did not.
Me,
Stop
fool.
it.
Yes, I did.
No, I don't want to Google. You did not have 7 great games in a 7-game series. Stop it.
First of all, it never went 7. That's how great I was, dummy.
You got swept 5 times, fool.
I'm talking about after that, dummy, when I won 3 in a row, butt face.
You got swept 5 times.
That was when I was young. The real Diesel when I won 3 in a row. I never had a bad game.
In your career too.
I never had a bad game. You got to play great to win a championship. Shut the hell up.
You don't won 4 championships in 20 years.
And you won none in 16.
So you had 16 bad damn playoffs.
Okay, but the ones when I play great, you saying you have to play great, and I'm saying what player doesn't have to play great to win?
You don't play great all the time.
What player to win a championship?
But I'm saying,
you gotta play great.
But you don't have, Ernie, you have other guys step up. Derek Fisher played great.
Like San Antonio, like I'm talking about the other guys who have
Wembanyama has those guys. They're getting. You said 7 different guys
has led them in scoring.
Yeah, that's not gonna work. You're gonna have to have some guys.
You don't think Fox and Castle are elevated themselves to that you could say that they would provide that for women?
Not to win a championship.
Ooh, now that's what I disagree with.
Well,
I don't know. I just
don't have to agree.
No, the reason I disagree, and I'm going to give you the reason. If you take Wembanyama and you say, okay, we're going to play 2-on-2, Castle and Fox. Give me 2 on any other team, they're not better than. Or not just as good as.
On the
there
elite,
is none.
On the teams that I think can win the championship, they don't have 7 different guys who lead them in scoring on a given night. Like Jaylen Brown's going to be first or second, worst case scenario, third.
Great. So you heard what they had to say. First of all, let me just talk about this from a chemistry standpoint. These guys are the best, man. They are the best in the business, man. They're the best. You know, they're the best. If you couple in Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, and then of course these guys, you know, these are Pantheon great NBA players with Shaq, top 10 guy, Barkley, top 50, however, I mean, like, I'm not saying he's 50, but you get what I'm saying. One of the greatest players of all time, top 75 guy, both of them. So they have the credentials to talk basketball. The other thing that I think that makes their show so great is the fact that they're unwilling to, they don't care to disagree with one another. And they'll go at anybody. If you look at other NBA shows, especially when they're talking about current athletes or people they may have relationships with, they pull punches. You know what I mean? They pull punches, whereas Shaq and Charles are a little bit more forthcoming. And it's one of the reasons why some people in media have an issue with them, because they're a little bit too truthful. And some of these guys may feel like, oh, man, you know, you're betraying the brotherhood and all of this. But if you go up there to talk basketball, man, you got to say what you think. Otherwise, if you're not ready to go all the way, you shouldn't be up there. That's how I feel about it. If you're not ready to give us your candid opinions and tell us what you see and not try to gaslight us, then you shouldn't be up there. In terms of what Shaq was saying, he always plays good. Nobody always plays good in the playoffs, man. Nobody. You'll find a game where a particular player may not shoot as well, or they may be in foul trouble, right? Or they may be having too many turnovers, or they may be out of rhythm. You know, no one has a perfect series. No one. There are very few players that can play very, very well from beginning to end. And also, how are we measuring playing well? Does playing well mean I put up good numbers and my team lost, or does playing well mean I play good enough to help my team win? How are we viewing that? Is it just an individual thing? Because then, if that's the case, there are a lot of guys that played well individually, but they don't have any hardware to show for it. But I agree with Charles here. Nobody plays well all the time. No. Even Shaq, he had some limitations, and he had an Achilles heel. In his case, his Achilles heel was his free throws. But Shaq could tell you, I hit them when they matter. That's true, but it's still something. You know, everybody can have a bad game in a series. Anybody can have a bad shooting night. You know, it just happens, right? So I agree with Charles there. In terms of them kind of getting back and forth with one another, you know, Shaq can get pretty sensitive, man. Shaq can get pretty sensitive. But you can also kind of see his competitive nature come out when he talks. I can tell by looking at Shaq in that sound and looking at him when he was talking that Shaq must have been a monster to compete against. And he was mean and he was nasty and he was out there to prove a point. You can tell. You can tell because Shaq takes offense to things. He doesn't let things just go. He takes offense. If a team is guarding me single coverage, I feel like you're disrespecting me and I'm going to punish the defender. He's that kind of guy. And Shaq is also cognizant of what it means to dominate a game. He's even broken it down. Try to score, I think he said 8 points in each quarter. Like, Shaq is one of those guys, man. So was Barkley. But in terms of the argument that they're having here and the point that they're making, I agree with Charles. You can't always have a good game, for goodness sake. There are times, especially during a playoff run, you can underperform. It happens to the best of them. You know what I mean? So these are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll definitely catch you guys on the next show, and I'm out. Peace.